So, welcome to the video, everyone. With us again as a guest is Dr. Jeffrey Ruterbusch. Welcome, Jeffrey.
It's great to be back, Stephen. Thanks for having me back.
My pleasure. So, what are the supplements you recommend for health, longevity, and anti-aging? Consider becoming a channel member for exclusive features, like loyalty badges, early access to new videos, funny stuff like rough cuts and bloopers, members only photos and status updates on the community tab, and members only live stream chat. On desktop, use the join button next to the subscribe. On mobile, use the join link in the description.
All right. We put this talk off last time you and I got together because it's an extensive topic, but let me do my best to truncate it, give you the short and dirty of all the years I've spent in the anti-aging field, studies, and so forth. First of all, we have to just differentiate. When we say anti-aging or longevity, we're talking about life expectancy versus lifespan. I mean, research indicates that human lifespan is pretty much around 120 years. There are very, very, very rare exceptions on that. When we're talking about anti-aging medicine, we're talking about enhancing one's life expectancy. So now that we got that established, we've talked about this before. The only proven method in the animal kingdom for longevity is calorie restriction. And we've talked about it before, but now today we're going to talk about some supplements, vitamins, minerals that I feel are worth their weight in gold when it comes to improving one's life expectancy. So I'm going to go through some supplements that some people, some of my mentors, so to say, have found to be very beneficial. And then I'm going to give you what I feel is the best. We all know who Dr. Oz is, don't we? Well, he had a show one time. He touted a multivitamin, omega-3 essential fatty acids, and believe it or not, a calcium and magnesium supplement. Those are his favorite three. When I was in training AMMG, the Age Management Medicine Group, where I boarded in anti-aging medicine, it was Dr. Derek De Silva, who was given many talks. His favorite supplements are, believe it or not, CoQ10, probiotics, vitamin D, and I forget one. Oh, yes. And also omega-3. So vitamin D, omega-3, CoQ10, and probiotics were Dr. Derek De Silva's favorite anti-aging supplements and vitamins and minerals. So you can Google search this, whatever search engine you use. There's all kinds of studies out there, people coming on and saying what works best. There's indications that melatonin is a very good anti-aging supplement. L-theanine, and obviously glutathione, which is the master antioxidant. You just can't take oral glutathione. You have to take supplements that will increase the body's endogenous productions of glutathione, or you can take glutathione IV, IM, or in liposomes. So you circumvent the acidity of the stomach and get a better absorption. So most of the studies in anti-aging are done on worms, flies, primates, rats, bats. And I'm not going to spend much time on things that have not been proven in humans. All right. So I'm just going to spend some time briefly going over some of the things that have been proven in humans. most of these supplements are in the journals of the orthomolecular medicine science. Some are in the life extension reading manual, their major book they put out every few years and updates what they recommend. There is an encyclopedia of anti-aging breakthroughs. The encyclopedia Anti-Aging Breakthroughs is a good source. It's from Medical Research Associates. A good friend of mine, Dr. Michael Greger, came out with a book, How Not to Die. Great title. He also has one, How Not to Diet. And lastly, there's an anti-cancer book written by a very famous MD, PhD, or a mudfud, Dr. David Servan Schreiber. He was an international bestseller. He finally did pass away due to a really bad brain cancer, but he lived 6 or 8 years beyond what he was given by modern conventional medicine by adhering to the many protocols he has in this book. Again, Anti-Cancer, A New Way of Life. So those are just some suggestions if you're into reading and want to add those to your library, go ahead. So let me go into the supplements that I feel they have been shown to improve or enhance longevity. First is the old standby vitamin C. Dr. Linus Pauling, the only 2-time winner of the Pulitzer Prize for science. He lived to be 93 or 4 years old before he perished, yet he had 2 parents that he inherited that died in their mid-40s due to chronic disease. So, and he was a big proponent, of vitamin C. He'd take 10 to 18 grams of vitamin C a day. And like I say, he doubled his life expectancy of the genes he inherited, because both his parents died in their 40s. He lived to be pretty much mid-90s before he passed away. But vitamin C is well touted, and there's a Journal of the American Medical Association, one that we're very well aware of, JAMA. And back in 2012, almost 8 years, almost 9 years now, they came out with a study that said if everybody just took a basic multivitamin, just a regular, inexpensive multivitamin, that one action alone would decrease the risk of cancer in everybody by 8%. Now, doesn't sound like a whole lot, but if everybody in the United States were to take just a simple vitamin, like one a day or a Centrum, about 48,000 lives would be saved. So there is a study from JAMA, came out in 2012, that said everybody needs to be on a multivitamin. And they showed that it could save 48,000 lives per year. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but if you're amongst those 48,000, that's significant. Also, they showed that 75% of all physicians polled at that time were taking a multivitamin. So, if 75% of nurses and physicians are taking a multivitamin, I would tend to think you should do as just your average Joe.
Before we continue, if you appreciate the content we bring to this channel, check out the Amazon links in the description of this video. These are the links to the products we use, going from supplements, protein powder, pre, post, intra-workout, anti-aging cream, sunscreen, needles and syringes to inject, and so on. If you'd like to purchase one of those products, please use the direct link so that it will earn us a few cents as a tip, and you'll be guided directly to the products we recommend. Thanks in advance.
All links should work on the US, Canadian, and UK Amazon stores.
Now, vitamin D is another one, and we've talked about vitamin D. We all know it's not a vitamin, it's a pro-hormone. But there are articles in the American Journals of Clinical Nutrition that say that vitamin D can cut cancer rates by 77%. Again, let me say that vitamin D can cut your rate of getting a cancer by 77%. It can also reduce the falls in elderly by 50%. We know that many times, injury falls in elderly increases their mortality and their morbidity. Vitamin D prevented 88% of type 1 diabetics in children and adolescents. In other words, if you gave enough vitamin D to optimize children and adolescents' serum levels, you could stave off type 1 diabetes in this population. And if you added vitamin D to optimum levels, you could increase the efficacy of any antibiotic by 100%. So again, we have vitamin C and vitamin D mentioned in JAMA and the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition as being proven ways to increase your life expectancy, okay? All right, and it's not much. I mean, back to vitamin C, all you need is 500 milligrams a day. And a lot of people say, take 2 or 3 grams. I take 2 to 4 grams, but you only need about 500 milligrams a day to reap these benefits that I spoke of earlier regarding the benefits of vitamin C. And lastly, vitamin E. So we've got C, D, and now I'll talk briefly about vitamin E. Also, International Journal of Cancer, 2011. They said that a natural vitamin E can decrease the rate of prostate cancer in men, obviously, by 75%. That's significant. And it only takes about 300 IUs of vitamin E per day to reap this benefit. And that same dose can decrease lung cancer by 61%. And of course, that came out of the International Journal of Cancer in 2008. So again, International Journal of Cancer, 2008, 2011, tout the benefits of vitamin E. In addition, I found out through my research that vitamin E can decrease the risk of all cancers by 34%. 34%, and coronary artery disease by 63%. Again, vitamin E can decrease the risk of all cancers by 34% and coronary artery disease by 63%. And this came out of the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Again, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition isn't your JAMA, it isn't your New England Journal of Medicine, but they're mainstream. So you have to step aside, get in the smaller distributed, not so known articles or journals to find out the true science and efficacy of nutritional supplements. Lancet came out with a journal article in 1996. Lancet is well known, I believe, in Europe, okay, or at least England. They mentioned that 400 to 800 international units of vitamin E per day can decrease your risk of an acute myocardial infarction by 77%. These are significantly important and verifiable through research numbers. And lastly, anybody who is an Alzheimer's patient, of course, as we get older as a population, there are more and more people developing Alzheimer's disease. If they take 2,000 IUs per day of vitamin E, an Alzheimer's patient, they can live up to 5 times longer. And this is the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 2000. So 20 years ago, this came up about vitamin E is a great supplement in people with Alzheimer's. So those are the vitamins in particular that I think are important: C, D, and E. And lastly, we mentioned last time the importance of metformin. Metformin is a drug we know. It's probably the best medicine we have that mimics diet and exercise in pill form. I didn't go too much about metformin though, because again, the studies are in flies, rats, mice, rodents, that it's showing benefit. So I'm going to put, metformin off because until the MILES study, there's a study called MILES, metformin-induced longevity study. Metformin-induced longevity study, the MILES, okay, for short. That's still ongoing, where they're checking to see if they can prove increases in life expectancy in humans using metformin. So until that study is complete, I'm not going to tout metformin right now as a proven age enhancer until that study is done. But research is leaning towards and I would bet to say that they will, and once that study is complete, they will find out that it indeed does enhance humans' life expectancy, just as it does in worms, mice, rats, rodents, and so forth, and flies. So wait till like I said, the book's still open on metformin, but I believe in it wholeheartedly. A friend of mine, Dr. Jeffrey Ruterbusch, also believes in it. The people this podcast reaches, we talked a lot about metformin. And oh, by the way, Stephen, my research into berberine is similar. Berberine is very similar to metformin. The dose is about the same, and they both act similarly by ramping up AMPK, which is a signaling device, adenosine monophosphate activated kinase. But the berberine acts similar to metformin in its mechanism of action to induce longevity benefits. But one last thing about the metformin and berberine. A lot of patients develop bowel intolerance, flatulence, gas, diarrhea with it. And I was one of those patients. So, but I found a way around that. So I'll put this little pearl out to our audience today. If you're one of those people that can't tolerate metformin, then you want to start real low. Like you can get a 500 milligram tablets of metformin, and you can bite them into quarters. Mm-hmm. Do your best you can, but you can score these things. Even if they're not scored, just bite them with your teeth. Start low and go slow. So I found now that I'm up to 1,000 milligrams a day of metformin by just doing 250 milligram quarters 4 times a day. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to build it up. Right now I'm at 1,000 milligrams a day where I'm not getting the bowel intolerance that I did get when I was trying to do 500 milligrams 3 times a day. So that's how you get around the bowel intolerance. Start very low on the metformin and then advance it as tolerated as your bowels get used to that medication. All right.
Okay. You also mentioned the omega-3s in the beginning, but you didn't come back to those. You don't use them?
Yes, I do. Now remember, Life Extension, lists omega-3 as a nutrient to enhance longevity. Dr. Derek De Silva also does. You mentioned to me, give you 3 or 4. I gave you C, D, E, and we mentioned briefly metformin. I already think metformin is really going to become on the gangbusters as a great age management tool once that MILES study is complete. I didn't go into many more but there's many more, Stephen. I mean, CoQ10, fish oil. These are very, very important mechanisms of increasing longevity. But again, there are no human studies that prove this yet. So a lot of science out there, a lot of great supplements in the books I showed you, the life extension journals, your Google searches, whatever search engine you use can verify what I just said. I stuck with the simple ones, the simple vitamins though, because through the journals of orthomolecular medicine and the journals of nutrition I mentioned, there have been studies that show and prove that they do improve longevity in humans. That's why I went with the three simple B, D, and E. Right?
Okay, well, thanks again. Yeah, that will probably be our last podcast for 2020, and I hope to see you back in 2021 in good health, Jeffrey.
Oh, I'll be back in 2020 in better health, because I practice what I preach. Even though I'm getting old, I'm not growing old. I'm growing young.
Awesome.
Right?
It shows.
Right?
It shows.
All right.
Great, man. Thank you. Talk to you
Have a
another
great
time.
day. Thank you. Bye.
Alright guys, well, do this next. Click on one of these thumbnails to learn a ton more about TRT and hormone optimization. Thanks.